Spencer McLaughlin, Locked On College Football. This week, Dick Weiss, I've got to be honest, shoot straight, man. I hadn't really heard of the guy. Apparently, College Football Sports Writer Hall of Fame said that Utah could be in conversations with the ACC, joining the Atlantic Coast Conference and skipping out of the Big 12. Then, from Brett McMurphy, Utah releases a statement and says that's complete BS. Is there a world in which Jim Phillips gets on the phone and says, hey, you guys, we could build a real good power thing over here. Come play with us. Could the ACC ever poach the Big 12?
If Jim Phillips doesn't try, he's not doing his job. That doesn't mean he would be successful. Right now, there is no way it would make sense for Utah to go to the ACC. What are you going to? What are you thinking about? Like, what is over there that is desirable at the moment? Now, here's where the interesting side of it could come into play for Utah specifically. I don't think it is a secret to the listeners and viewers of this show that Utah never really wanted to join the Big 12.
Right.
They were forced to do that.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean, there was loyalty to the conference that made them a power brand.
Yeah, and they wanted that league to continue. Once Oregon and Washington left, they realized this is not tenable. We need a stable situation, and that was the Big 12. And Brett Yormark wisely said, welcome in. Please don't win our conference too quickly or people might get upset. I think that's going to happen anyway, whether Big 12 fans want that to or not. So I think that for Utah, like culturally, are they a fit in the ACC? Yeah, actually, if you look at the academic standings of ACC schools and where Utah fits in that conversation, yeah, I think they kind of work. The size of the school, the television viewership they could bring in.
Work more than the Big 12, though, considering like the old TCU rivalry, bringing Arizona with you. I mean, is there
that depends on how you define work. I think Utah can fit in the Big 12 just fine. I think geographically, with the Arizona schools and Colorado coming with, it's now, a very logical expansion piece. It would be another West Coast element for the ACC to add. And remember this, kids. Stanford and Cal are, wait for it, ACC schools now. And that hasn't been made official. But, July 1st, 2024. I know. Isn't that wild? The Bay Area. That's, they're in the ACC too. So the ACC has branched out a little bit. So if your argument is, well, then, that's too far away. That's not even the furthest state away that they have gone into. Not even close, Frank. I mean, it's technically close. Utah to California is not incredibly far, but it's also, more than a 10-minute walk down the road. So I think that for the ACC, if they were to lose FSU and Clemson, but keep everyone else around, going after Utah could make plenty of sense. I don't know if Utah would want to do that. They could view that, like at that point for Utah football, they would have to examine which league puts us in a stronger position.
Right.
What is a better football league to be in, factoring in that Utah itself is a very strong brand? And if Utah went into the ACC, they'd be one of the top 3 or 4 teams. Utah in the Big 12, they're one of the top 3 programs in the conference right now.
Front row question.
Yes.
Spencer, Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12. We talk about the strength of the ACC in football. A lot of the pushback that you'll get, I can see the comment right now, somebody's screaming, is that Florida State, undefeated, gets left out of the college football playoff. Does that mar how you view the ACC from a football standpoint?
No, I don't think it should. That was the 4-team era. This is the 12-team era. And those are completely different landscapes to navigate. And I think if you just look at the depth of good to very good teams or programs, really, over the last 5-10 years, you have a good lineup in the ACC, even without Florida State and Clemson. Can you make the argument that the Big 12 is better? Yeah, you can. I don't think the gap between the two is as big as Big 12 fans might like to think. And if you remove Utah from that equation, now you are... I cannot say I've done a side-by-side comparison, but we can just come up with it off the top of our heads here. You'd have now. I don't think North Carolina is going to have Mac Brown for that much longer. That's at least a capable program. Mario Cristobal down at Miami, though, recruits his rear end off and has an ACC and playoff contender this season. Should be able to continue having that down there in Coral Gables. So you'd have Florida, or you'd have Miami. You would have Utah, you'd have a North Carolina in the mix. Virginia Tech is on the rise. NC State is a really good program. Could like a Georgia Tech continue to elevate and get themselves back to a higher level?
Like an Arizona, who at least has pieces to be good, and they might be the back end as far as trajectory goes, to a Kansas State, to a Texas Tech, to a TCU just went to the college football playoff, granted a bad year last year. And that's not to mention Iowa State that has, this prowess in Matt Campbell, and West Virginia has a whole lot of returning power. And Kansas now under Lance Leipold is good all of a sudden. I mean, you've got a depth of 7 teams in the Big 12 to compete for a title this year.
I think the depth in the Big 12 is stronger than any other conference in the country in terms of how many teams can win the conference championship.
It's not shocking. The SEC, it's like 3, and the Big 10, it's like 3.
The SEC, it might be more than 3. Like Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. Yes, I put Ole Miss in that conversation.
I think it's Georgia, Texas that can win the conference.
Oh yeah, I can't forget about Texas. You know how often I forget that Texas is in the SEC.
Did you not know that? That's a recent thing.
Well, you see, it's like I knew it. Like I was driving to the Mariners game yesterday. And I was picking up my cousin, aunt, and uncle, and I was driving to their house, and I remember the way to get there. I just kind of forgot briefly, so I missed a turn. Like that's Texas being in the SEC. So I think you got 5 teams that I'd say are capable of winning the SEC. I didn't even mention Missouri, which is a complete and total wild card. And Missouri, FanDuel thinks Missouri's very good. Missouri with a win total of 9.5. If you said that 5 years ago, you would have said, "Hey, I didn't know Missouri went back to the Big 12." No, Eli Drinkwitz just did a really good job, and he's got some pieces coming back. But yeah, I think the depth in the Big 12 is tremendous, but it might be a touch better than the ACC. Like if you remove Florida State and Clemson, the caliber of conference championship capable programs is probably a touch stronger in the Big 12, but that gap lessens if Utah were to move over there. Yeah. If they were to take somebody else over there with them as well. And I don't think that gap is huge. I think it's there, but I think it's smaller than the gap that the ACC and Big 12 are facing compared to the Big 10 and the SEC.
So if I can, the thesis of the ACC currently, with its current stability, is not possible they're going to poach Big 12 teams. But given that North Carolina stays, the future seems bright. They have more of a chance to make a move like that.
Yeah, I would think so. If they keep everybody but FSU and Clemson, then they could try to go on the offensive. And I think they should try to go on the offensive if they lose FSU and Clemson, because Stanford, Cal, SMU, that's a move you made because it was available. Those are not power players in college football. Now, SMU is kind of a wild card because SMU is so wildly committed to being great in college athletics that they have quite literally just bought their way into the ACC,
pay the bill,
which once upon a time was thought of as a ridiculous notion. Clearly not, because they're saying we'll take $0 and we will fund the athletic department. Like SMU taking $0 in media rights revenue still probably has a top, at least top half, but maybe top 4 or 5 overall athletics budget in the ACC right here, right now, today. I think they've got more than Cal and Stanford. I think they have more than a lot of other schools as well. Like they have got deep oil money pockets, and they want to be good at sports. And look, I respect them for it because I think every college town should be like that. I think every college should be like that. Like I'm biased, of course, because I like sports a lot. But it baffles me.
Dallas a college town? God bless. Put the gun down, man. Throw the shovel
I guess
away.
I did. I guess I did do that. Here's okay, Drake. Think about it like this though. Every town can be a college town as long as there's a college in it without being a college town. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
The potential is there if you just have
eloquent
what SMU has, which is a top 5 NIL collective valuation, and they have not played a single conference game at the power level this century, and yet they have a top 5 NIL collective.
For the people that are Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the television set and going, "I know that guy. They remember you." Where can they find more of your work?
I am on YouTube hosting Locked On College Football, which is also available wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you may be listening to this show. And if you want everything you need to know about the Oregon Ducks, because your team may be playing them one day, you can check out Locked On Ducks on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. And for those who may be interested, I also do play-by-play for Southern Utah University, which is, I love doing these shows, and I go back and forth on which one I enjoy more, but I enjoy it all tremendously. And that's the body of work that I got rolling, and it's not bad. It's not bad.
Come back tomorrow. We're going to talk more, possibly expansion. Maybe. We'll see. Right here on Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Thanks to Spencer McLaughlin for joining the show. Dose Grande.